8 decades, the Bonneville Power Administration has delivered on a singular mission to provide reliable, carbon-free power to meet load at a low cost. As a result, Bonneville has been a cornerstone for the Pacific Northwest's economy and a facet of everyday life. From the coasts of Washington and Oregon to the high plains and mountains of Montana and Idaho, we have empowered industry, improved conditions for fish and wildlife in the Columbia River Basin, and kept the lights on. Through wind and through war, from generation to generation, we remain an indelible thread in the fabric of the Northwest experience. As we enter our 80th year, Bonneville faces new challenges, emerging technologies, and changes in the utility landscape. Key among these is our long-term competitiveness.
If you look back the last 8 years, we've had 4 successive rate increases of averaging 7%. You take that curve and extrapolate that out into the future, that's not a sustainable version of the Bonneville Power Administration.
The rates for power and transmission services form the financial backbone of Bonneville. They are the driver behind what maintenance we can accomplish, where we can invest in our physical infrastructure, and what mitigation projects for fish and wildlife we can fund. Our current contracts with our power and transmission customers expire in 2028. In a very real way, this keystone year becomes a point we must navigate to while proving the value inherent in Bonneville's services. In 2016, our finance department delivered on a multi-year collaborative effort with partners throughout the region, including Energy Northwest, to deliver the largest U.S. Treasury debt repayment in the history of the agency. This $1.9 billion payment, that's billion with a B, represents a massive reduction in Bonneville's highest interest rate debt, while extending our lowest interest rate debt over several decades.
This is locking in hundreds of millions of dollars of savings in interest expense to the region, something that I am incredibly proud of. I think this is one of those programs that whose benefits will outlive most of us here in Bonneville, and will continue delivering savings for many, many years to come.
But that's not to suggest that Bonneville didn't face financial struggles in 2016. To begin with, we started the year with a $200 million deficit to pay back Canada for additional water we withdrew from northern reservoirs to aid us during 2015's low water year.
2016 was a good year. It was a challenging year too. Markets were not quite what we expected them to be. The revenues that we generated from our secondary operations weren't what we expected at the beginning of the year. Thankfully, we have a solid financial position that allows us to withstand these revenue fluctuations.
To help set our course amid fluctuating markets, finance, along with power and transmission services and support staff from across the agency, hosted customer workshops to determine how to prioritize and maximize funding for Bonneville programs and projects.
So this year's IPR, the Integrated Program Review, involved a lot of people. Finance was very involved, but across the agency, everyone dug in and worked very hard at scrubbing their spending levels and trying to find savings that would be passed on to the customers in the upcoming rate case.
Beyond rate setting, Bonneville has another tool to improve its strong financial structure: cost management.
We are a government organization. We have to deliver results to our customers and to our stakeholders. And we need to make sure that we have the fiscal discipline to deliver our mission for the lowest possible costs. We owe it to our customers, we owe it to our stakeholders, and really we owe it to the mission of Bonneville, that is, we are public servants.
Against the backdrop of managing rate pressure, Bonneville faces a very real need to address aging assets. This tug and pull of earn versus invest puts our choices in sharp relief.
Those two areas balance our equation. One is how we are investing the money, how we expend the resource of dollars. The other is how we are bringing those dollars into the organization by offering the right products, the right services, by ensuring customers are satisfied with the services that we can render the Pacific Northwest. We need to get both sides of the equation right.
Transmission Engineering and Technical Services developed a new tool that better predicts both the personnel requirements and the costs associated with projects before they even begin. This will help the organization to maintain a more accurate fiscal picture moving into the future.
We built a tool called BEAT, which is Budget Estimation Analysis Tool. So this tool beyond making cuts and doing other things, it allows us to better predict what we need for money, and that way we leave less on the table in the end. So this is a way for us to really get down close onto where we need to hit that target and know years in advance of where we believe we're going to be. Now we're looking at the way we get projects done, and it's a matter of us working to our new process, which is our new AMPed process, which is Asset Management Program Delivery, AMPed. It moves our experts in BPA up to the scoping phases of the way we do things, our engineering experts, our project managers, and our project engineers, so that we get the scoping right early, get the estimating done correctly, and then we hit our money and time targets that much better, which makes us just efficiency goes through the roof.
There was no shortage of large transmission projects taking place in 2016. One project that crossed the finish line was the upgrade of the Celilo converter station and the Pacific Direct Current Intertie transmission system.
The converter station itself was completely overhauled. We went in and replaced all of the parts and equipment to bring it up to basically the modern era. We went to every structure along that 265 miles and replaced all the insulators. We replaced some hardware, just a little bit of conductor that we replaced. And with that, we were able to increase the voltage, which increased the total capacity.
As calendar year 2016 drew to a close, so too did a decision draw near on the mammoth I-5 corridor reinforcement project that would address a capacity need along the transmission path north of Portland and Vancouver. Regardless of the decision made by Bonneville, one thing became abundantly clear to the project manager behind the I-5 corridor reinforcement effort.
I'm just really impressed not only by the effort, but by the intelligence of the people working on this team. This is the A team. These are people that know the system and are out looking hard and working collaboratively, so that in the end, I'm confident that this team will make a recommendation to the administrator that will be the right investment at the right time. So it's exciting to be part of that effort, a collaborative effort. I think the agency is moving more towards that kind of decision making rather than just top down. So that's really fun to be a part of.
For Power Services, choosing the right opportunities to reinvest in our aging infrastructure remains a key to maintaining the value of the federal hydro system with our partners in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the Bureau of Reclamation. But with 31 federal hydroelectric projects in the Northwest, it's no small task to prioritize which projects should be addressed first to maximize our return on investment.
This year we were able to put together our first 5-year plan, so planning out a little further in the future. It used to be that we had so much emergent work right in front of us that it was easy to just focus on what was right in front of us. But our program is big enough and our issues are important enough now that we're taking that 5-year outlook so that the Corps, the Bureau, and Bonneville can all be on the same page about how we're approaching investment, when we are making decisions and points in time. Just because you have a 5-year plan doesn't mean you have year 5 right. Now we're taking that further outlook, we're asking ourselves the important questions as we move forward in time.
Another way to preserve the value of the federal hydro system is to seek new opportunities to leverage its capabilities.
The beauty of the hydro system is it produces energy that's carbon-free. It also is a fantastic source of capacity and flexible ramping capability that is ideally situated to help integrate new renewable resources, whether it's wind power or solar power. We are exploring specific opportunities where we may have synergies between California and the Pacific Northwest that we can leverage for the benefit of customers in the Northwest and for people in California as well.
Along with preserving our assets, we have an obligation to mitigate the impacts from our operations on the natural environment. It is one of our core values, environmental stewardship.
So 2016 was a pivotal year. We received a decision from the Federal District Court in May, which was a disappointing decision for us on our compliance under the Endangered Species Act for how we operate the hydro system and the program of efforts we have to mitigate for the impacts of that system. It was an unfortunate decision for us because we thought we'd been doing a really good job to get improvements on the hydro system, to do a lot of off-site work to improve conditions for salmon and steelhead. Unfortunately, the court disagreed and found that there were some flaws in the analysis that NOAA did,
and there were some things we needed to continue to work on.
In 2017, we're going to do something we haven't done in over 20 years, which is to do an environmental impact statement on the operation of the Columbia River system. That includes the federal dams, it includes the transmission system, it includes our fish and wildlife mitigation programs, and it also includes all those other project purposes like flood control, irrigation, and navigation. We're going to be taking a fresh look at those and the alternatives, and it's absolutely certain that we're going to have some controversial issues come up, including dam breaching, passage at Grand Coulee Dam, and perhaps other issues. This is just the start of what's expected to be a 5-year process, so stay tuned.
Another example of our environmental stewardship is the emphasis that Bonneville places on sustainability.
Sustainability and recycling, we have a lot of products that may be excess to our needs, but can be used throughout other agencies in the federal government. Some of our donated products, we might not have a real good outlet for resales, but just giving it to other nonprofits is a big advantage for them. So FY16, we were honored with an award from the Environmental Protection Agency for the Federal Green Challenge Award. We increased our recycling by 71%, and that was mainly done with steel recycling from obsolete and unneeded tower steel, and from about 80 tons of ceramic and glass insulators that would be diverted from the landfill to certified recycling facilities here in Portland.
But none of the work being done across this great agency could have been accomplished without a creative, engaged, and capable workforce.
We realize that our employees need to feel as though we care about them. And if we do that, then they're going to be more engaged, and you're going to see the type of results that we've been seeing, even greater results. The numbers speak for themselves. A diverse workforce is more productive.
There's a lot of research out there that says when we have diverse teams, not just necessarily based on race or gender or disability, but when we have diverse teams of, say, extroverts or introverts, people that are more conflict averse, people that like conflict. When we bring teams together that are diverse like that, it really helps us create more of an environment that's creative. It helps us have more ideas, be more imaginative when we're looking at projects.
The numbers speak for themselves. The more engaged workforce is way more productive.
At the heart of valuing our employees is Bonneville's dedication to safety.
The change in our safety culture is now starting to really move in the right direction, and it's been, quite frankly, it's been verified by quantitative numbers. We had safety performance in terms of our safety metrics this year that were effectively unprecedented at BPA, some of the best performance we've ever had.
We had the highest number of near-hit reporting ever on record at BPA. That's a cultural indicator that we're actually proactively being safe. We're reporting hazards before they cause injuries. We're finding the problems before the problems find us. That is a true sign of a strengthening safety culture. We are making safety visible, and when it's visible, it keeps people from getting hurt.
Here we are, it's 9 o'clock on Thanksgiving morning, and while most people are at home preparing for a turkey feast with their friends and family, here at the Ross Complex, as well as Monroe and several other sites across our footprint, we have a dedicated team of folks that are responsible for maintaining the reliability of the transmission system. So while most people are worried about the temperature of their turkey or whether or not their team is going to win the football game, these folks are making sure that the transmission system is operating within transmission limits and that we're maintaining the system stability to make sure that those ovens work and those TVs turn on. So I want to thank these operators, the schedulers, the security folks, the line crews, who make sure that the lights stay on throughout the Pacific Northwest. Thank you for all of your service.
Everything we do at Bonneville, whether in transmission, power, fish and wildlife, legal, compliance, information technology, billing, supply chain, or any of the support organizations across the agency, it all drives down to adding value to the people of the Northwest.
We've been working very hard together on the Focus 2028 process with all of our constituents. What we'll see over the course of calendar year 2017 is the development of a strategic plan which takes the input from the Focus 2028 process and puts us on a path where we believe we will be competitive for the long term, meet our obligations, and be the provider of choice for our customers moving forward.
Our preference customers are our core customers. In large part, we're here to serve the needs of our preference customers.
We have a job to do. We have to maintain reliability. We have to deliver service. We have to, at the bottom line, provide customer satisfaction.
Ultimately, establishing Bonneville's long-term competitiveness will be determined by the steps we take now and the answers we find to the questions both we and our customers are wrestling with.
We're going to really take a look at the forces that are shaping our industry, the changes in commodity prices, the new markets, the energy imbalance market, what's happening with the California ISO, changes in load growth, new competitors, Google and Nest and the other big companies that are coming in. We're also, of course, grappling with aging assets and increasing O&M and a lot of other uncertainties about the regulatory environment and even what our climate is doing. What do those changes mean for BPA? How do we successfully navigate them? What are the choices that we have as an organization to really position ourselves for long-term competitiveness and financial strength, and to be that provider of choice, and to continue reimagining how we maintain our role as an engine of the region's economic and environmental prosperity. It's been a terrific year. I am such a proud administrator. I just really I'm so appreciative of all the work, appreciate the partnerships, the collaboration, seeing people modeling our values, and watching us making real positive impacts on the culture. And I really want to express my appreciation to everybody and looking forward to a terrific fiscal year 2017.